for the young bridesmaids and page boys, a day they'll be able to talk about for the rest of their lives. Prince Harry showed them the ropes, encouraging them to wave. For the Queen, a sovereign's escort. The 1st and 2nd divisions were provided by 25 men of the Life Guards, the 3rd and 4th by the Blues and Royals, another full complement of 25 officers. And the field officer of the escort for the Queen? Lieutenant Colonel Dan Hughes. A scene redolent of centuries of history. The household cavalry have been involved in such grand royal occasions for 350 years. A sea of red as the Life Guards signalled the approach of the bridal carriage on the last leg of the journey. As the newlyweds passed by the Victoria Memorial, a reminder of just how many people were watching. The banks of television studios and hundreds of cameras from worldwide media clearly visible. On the forecourt of Buckingham Palace, the Guard of Honour, made up by the Welsh Guards, was waiting. More than 100 men. And the band of the 1st Battalion, the Welsh Guards. And so their carriage rolled through the gates of the palace that will one day be their home. On the carriage ride, Catherine had asked her husband whether he was happy now. He had left her in no doubt that the answer was yes. The service, he'd said, had been beautiful. And he told her how proud he was that she was now his wife. In the central courtyard, with a helping hand from her husband, the Duchess climbed carefully out of her carriage. They were welcomed, and no doubt congratulated, by the master of the Queen's household, Air Vice Marshal David Walker. And so into the palace to prepare for the official photographs and the first of 2 receptions. For the crowds outside, there was still a grand procession to watch and enjoy. As the Queen and Duke arrived home, she was heard to say the whole spectacle had been amazing. And for someone who normally keeps her emotions very private, that was a measure of how special the day had so far been. And for Mr. and Mrs. Middleton, the grandest ride to Buckingham Palace they will ever experience, as they travelled in the Australian state coach with Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall. Next came one of the great set pieces of any royal wedding, the appearance of the newlyweds and the rest of the royal family on the palace balcony. But before that could happen, Everything and everyone had to be in place. The pomp and circumstance of a royal wedding is steeped in hundreds of years of tradition. And what a spectacle for the crowds. Martin Brunt, Sky News crime correspondent, was watching.
For the capital's police, keeping the peace around the royal wedding was one of the biggest challenges they had faced for many years. Security, crowd control and safety. They were all issues full of potential difficulties that could have spoiled the big day. There were 1 million people on the street and a global live TV audience of 2 billion. The Metropolitan Police could not afford to get it wrong. From its nearby headquarters at New Scotland Yard, the force had been planning its operation for many weeks. In the end, 5,000 police officers, joined by military personnel, ensured that the pomp and ceremony went uninterrupted. Perhaps the biggest challenge came after the service, moving thousands of revellers towards Buckingham Palace. Nobody wanted to miss the royal balcony appearance.
In a well-rehearsed and highly disciplined operation, hundreds of police formed a human chain to shepherd tens of thousands of well-wishers as close to the palace as possible.
For those who couldn't get close to the route of the wedding procession, giant screens were erected in Hyde Park. They ensured that nobody missed a moment of the celebrations. The police commissioner, Sir Paul Stevenson, had told his officers that morning they should appreciate the honour of being involved. And how they did. They could enjoy their role as the traditional, friendly bobby on the street, an increasingly rare opportunity in the modern world.
Before long, the Mall became a sea of Union flags as the huge crowds moved slowly forward.
At the Victoria Memorial, 500,000 people were marshalled gently into place.
Everyone was hoping they would get right up to the